Cruise dining rooms can feel like a secret club. There are rules, the hidden perks, and if you know the right handshake, you can get VIP treatment without paying anything extra. Even after learning how the dining room works on Royal Caribbean, many people are left with questions. So today I'm tackling the answers to the top 15 burning questions that cruisers ask about the dining room. After sailing on over 30 Royal Caribbean cruises, we learned that the dining room isn't as straightforward as it seems. But if you want a full step-by-step guide on how the dining room works, I've got a dedicated video that I'll link up here and at the end of the video, so definitely check it out. Now, even after researching how it works, many cruisers still have unanswered questions, and these are things that nobody really talks about until you're at the table wondering what to do. So that's why I'm answering those questions today. Also, if you have a question that I don't cover, drop it in the comments below and I will make sure to answer it. Can special dietary needs be accommodated? Absolutely. Nowadays, most cruise lines do a really good job at accommodating special requests when somebody needs them. Whether it's gluten-free, vegan, or you just have food allergies, what you want to do is let the cruise line know ahead of time and then remind the dining staff once on board. Royal Caribbean has a form that you can fill out ahead of time by email, but again, it's important that the actual staff that is serving you is aware of the special needs. When to choose fixed dining times versus flexible dining? Well, the fixed dining times offer consistency and the chance to build rapport with your waitstaff, which we love. Now, if you dine at the same time each night, the same group of people will probably dine with you and you create that more intimate atmosphere. Flexible dining, on the other hand, offers greater freedom to eat when it suits you, and it's perfect for those who like to be spontaneous or change up the times they eat in. We've tried both and enjoyed the structured feel of fixed dining. At the same time, we like the flexibility of open seating, and so we actually usually do a cross in between them. We do find the time we like on My Time Dining, but then we request the same table so we have that same familiarity with the waitstaff and we know what to expect from every dinner. Can you expedite your dining to make it to shows on time? And yes, if you need to dine quickly to catch a show, let the waiter know that you're on a tight schedule. On several cruises, we had tight timelines for shows, and we just informed our waiter at the beginning of the meal. So they made sure that all the courses came out as soon as they were ready without feeling rushed. And it's really all about clear communication. We also noticed that usually if we ask them to bring our dessert to go, and we ask it as soon as we're done eating, they'll bring us a plate, we can take it with us to go, we can put it in the room, go to the show, and then enjoy the dessert later, which also cuts down on time. So we've had full dining room meals as little as 35-40 minutes. Are tips automatically included, or should you tip waitstaff separately? Royal Caribbean will automatically add daily gratuities to your onboard account. Currently, they're $18 per person per day, and they are allocated to be divided between people who are serving you, including the dining room staff. Now, there's another whole debate on how cruise lines use these gratuities and how the system is set up, and we're not going to get into that here. However, in practice, we always tip extra to our dining room staff, and now we usually do it at the end of the cruise, but some people tip a little bit every day. But again, that is your personal decision, because officially the answer is your daily gratuity does include a tip to the dining room waiters. Is it necessary to make dining reservations in advance for flexible dining? Making reservations is highly recommended. To give you a land-based comparison, it's not like an exclusive restaurant where you have to reserve months ahead or you won't get to eat there. It's more like a steakhouse restaurant at home. If you don't make reservations, you can still eat, but you will probably have a wait. So if you make reservations ahead of time, it just ensures that you get your preferred dining slots and you don't have to scramble for the reservations when you're on the ship. What happens if they don't have any good dining times left before the sailing? So the thing to know about Royal Caribbean is that they don't fill up all the dining times before the cruise. They will open them back up on the ship. So you have two options. You can get on the ship, connect to the Wi-Fi, and do those reservations again in your app. Or at that point, it's much easier and faster to just go to any of the dining rooms, and they will have a host there who can make all your reservations for the whole week, and you can actually look at the table that you're assigned or ask them to reassign you if they did assign you somewhere that you don't like to sit at. How do you handle reservations for groups or families traveling with children? Now, it's going to depend on the size of your group. If you have 8 people or less, it's actually really easy to do it in your app before you sail. What you can do is you can link your reservations together, and in your app you simply go to add another cruise and then add all the information it's asking for the other cruise, and you will see them linked together. And then at that point you can reserve dining time for up to 8 people at a time in your app. If you have a larger group, they do have a group booking form that you can fill out ahead of time, but nothing is guaranteed. And when you get on the ship, that's the best time to, again, go straight to the dining room, talk to the host, and ask them if they can assign you couple tables. Now, if you have a large group, for example, we often travel with a group of about 30 people, the largest tables can only usually accommodate about 10 to 12 people, so you will have to split up into a couple large tables. How to request a private table if that's what you'd like? Well, it's going to depend if you have traditional dining or my time dining. If you have a traditional dining, you can request ahead of time a small table, but again, you want to make sure when you get on the ship to ask and double check that they gave it to you. If you have my time dining, in our experience, pretty much you are going to be seated with the group that you came with. They usually don't seat different parties from my time dining together, but if we want to have a table for 2, we, again, on the first day, just go to the host and ask them to make sure that we have a table for 2. What are the best dining options for solo travelers? Well, you actually have several options. First, if you want to eat with a group of people, you can just pick one of the traditional dining times, request a larger table, and Royal Caribbean will put you together at a table for the whole duration of your sailing with somebody else. Now, you can also request a table for yourself if you do prefer to eat by yourself. And a third option would be to go to a meetup or even meet people ahead of time at Facebook groups that are traveling solo on that sailing, then meet up there on a ship and request to be seated together in a dining room. How flexible are the dining room reservations? Well, they are actually very flexible. Obviously, things will come up. Sometimes you don't feel like eating at the time that you reserved ahead of time. Sometimes you might be hungrier sooner, and you absolutely can change those reservations. If you know ahead of time that you want to change it, talk to your waiters or talk to the host. Especially if you're walking out the day before, you can easily request to change it for the next day. But if it is that same day, you can even change from the time you had or even traditional dining to just go into my time dining line, wait in line. That could be very short, it could be longer, and eat at any time that you want. Can you book a specialty dining and the main dining room for the same evening? And the answer is yes, you actually can. Both specialty dining and main dining room open up pretty early, sometimes around 5 o'clock. And then they can go and seat people somewhere till about 9. So you have about 4-hour period of time in which you technically could have 2 separate dinners. Or if you want to go to the specialty dining early and then in the evening after a show you want to go have an appetizer or your favorite dessert in the main dining room, you can absolutely do that. Can you request a specific waiter for the entire cruise? Absolutely. Even with my time dining, you can request the same waiter, and we love doing that. We pretty much do that on every cruise. Now, the key is going to be to try to eat at the same time or within 15 minutes or so of different dining times, because that way they can make sure to give you the same table with the same staff. But it is one of the best ways to get a great service because you get to know the waiters, they get to know you, they know your preferences, and it just makes it for such a better experience than than going from table to table and being waited on by different people every day. Is breakfast in a dining room included in your fare? And yes, the answer to that surprises many people, but you can get breakfast in the dining room instead of having to go to the buffet. One of the best times to do that is on C days when you're not in a rush, because you can go in there, have freshly prepared omelets and eggs and whatever else you like for breakfast. Now they do start pretty early, so usually around 7 a.m. or so, and they somewhere around 9:30 or so. So it is kind of early. If you're a late riser, that might not work for you, but it is a really nice way to start a leisurely day. How strict is the dress code enforcement? And the answer is it's not very strict. Now, dining room will have several different suggested dress codes. On a shorter cruises, 3 and 4 days, you will have one so-called dress your best night, and on longer cruises there will be 2 of those. And many people will dress up with nice elegant clothes or even suits and ball gown dresses. Now you will also have some themed nights like Caribbean night, the white night, and again many people will dress up for those occasions and many will not. So don't worry if you don't want to bring formal clothes or any of those themed night clothes and you really want to pack minimally, you can absolutely do that. I will tell you that most people just dress a little bit nicer to the dining room than they would for dinner at the buffet. And if you want to watch that other video on how the main dining room works on Royal Caribbean, I will link it right here, or you can see this playlist for a lot of different tips on maximizing your dining room experience.